Carlos Alcaraz is gearing up for his debut at the Rotterdam tournament, aiming to secure his first title of the season after an unexpected stumble at the Australian Open. The Spanish tennis sensation couldn't get past the quarterfinals, falling to a banged-up Novak Djokovic, who, ironically, had to withdraw from his next match due to a muscle injury. This loss triggered a wave of criticism, as it was a golden chance to snag the only Grand Slam missing from his collection. He still has future opportunities to become the youngest player to complete the full set, but the missed opportunity has left some questioning his ability to seize the moment. Before stepping onto the court in Rotterdam, Alcaraz decided to address the backlash. In a press conference, he dismissed the idea that his loss to Djokovic was a wasted opportunity. He admitted he was eager to win the tournament and felt capable of doing so, but Djokovic played an outstanding match. Facing Novak in a Grand Slam quarterfinal is a nightmare scenario for anyone. Despite the disappointment, he prefers to take the positives from the match and focus on what's ahead. He acknowledged that Djokovic is a tough opponent and that there's no need to blow things out of proportion. Now, he faces a series of challenges in Rotterdam that will test his ability to silence his critics and prove once again that he belongs among the best. The tournament's indoor surface isn't exactly his best friend, as past struggles in Paris Masters and the Davis Cup have shown. Speaking of the Davis Cup, he has some unfinished business, as his first-round opponent is none other than Botic van de Zandschulp, one of the players who contributed to Spain's elimination from the tournament. To make matters worse, this same Dutchman knocked him out of the US Open, paving the way for Jannik Sinner to lift the trophy. As if the odds weren't already stacked against him, Alcaraz is also dealing with a nasty cold that has left him feeling dizzy and struggling to breathe, similar to what happened during the ATP finals. All of these obstacles stand between him and the Rotterdam title, which he is favored to win, but only if he can overcome these hurdles and shut down his doubters once and for all. His return to the ATP circuit after the Australian Open hasn't exactly been smooth. Rotterdam, a tournament he previously turned down, hasn't been particularly welcoming. Luck hasn't been on his side, starting with a brutal draw. Even as the top seed, he faces a tough first-round opponent in Van de Zandschulp, playing in front of his home crowd. And if he survives that, his likely second-round rival is one of the hottest players on tour right now, Felix Auger-Aliassime, who just reached his second final of the year at the Open Sud de France in Montpellier. Alcaraz will have to fight through a tricky road if he wants to lift the trophy and silence the noise around him. The pressure is on, the obstacles are plenty, and the critics are waiting for another slip-up. Whether he delivers or not, one thing is certain: it's going to be a wild ride. Carlos Alcaraz hasn't exactly had the smoothest road leading up to the Rotterdam tournament. As the top favorite, he's expected to bulldoze through the competition, but his path is littered with potential landmines. If he wants to live up to the hype, he'll have to take down not just his early round opponents but also big names like Holger Rune or Roberto Bautista, who could be lurking in the quarterfinals. And that's just the beginning. If he makes it that far, he'll likely have to deal with the likes of Andrei Rublev, Hubert Hurkacz, or maybe even Alex de Minaur in the semifinals. Basically, it's going to be a war zone, and there's no room for hesitation. To make matters worse, Alcaraz's trip to Rotterdam has been a total shitshow from the start. The guy landed in the Netherlands with a nasty cold that's been kicking his ass for a week, and as if that weren't enough, the airport decided to make things even more miserable. After rescheduling his flight and arriving an hour and a half earlier than expected, he got stuck at baggage claim for over an hour thanks to some problem with his luggage. Just what you need when you're already feeling like crap. The tournament organizers, realizing they had their biggest star stranded at the airport like some budget airline passenger, tried to smooth things over. They had an official car waiting to take him to his hotel, and in a desperate attempt to make up for the mess, the tournament ambassador, Han Kohn, handed him a bunch of gifts. Nice gesture, but let's be real, no amount of free merch is going to make up for being stuck in an airport while feeling like death warmed over. Alcaraz's return to Rotterdam is already dripping with irony. He's now the main attraction after Jannik Sinner pulled out, but just a few years ago, this very tournament basically ghosted him. Back in the day, before he was a superstar, He asked for a wild card to enter the main draw. The tournament director, the legendary Richard Krajicek, flat out denied him, opting to give the spot to Andy Murray instead. Probably not the best long-term decision. Krajicek even admitted it recently, acknowledging that back in 2021, he chose to prioritize Murray over Alcaraz. And now, he sure as hell doesn't want to be the guy who turned down the future #1 again. Life comes at you fast. Meanwhile, back in Spain, Alcaraz's absence in the Davis Cup has barely been noticed. David Ferrer's squad breezed through their first tie, proving they can handle business without their young star. Alcaraz decided to skip the competition to avoid overloading his already packed schedule, a decision made even easier after the disaster that was Spain's last Davis Cup run. The 2024 finals in Malaga ended in heartbreak, marking the farewell of Rafael Nadal from the event. The Spanish team clearly remembers that disappointment, but this time, they're proving they can survive without their golden boy. Alcaraz, on the other hand, has bigger fish to fry in Rotterdam, where he's out to prove that the tournament that once snubbed him now belongs to him. He might be battling a cold, bad luck, and a nightmarish draw, but if there's one thing he's shown time and time again, it's that he thrives when the odds are stacked against him. Spain has officially hit the reset button on its Davis Cup campaign, and let's just say, they've kicked things off with a bang. With a nearly flawless first-round performance, they've stormed through to the next stage, and they've done it without their biggest name. David Ferrer, the mastermind behind this operation, found himself in a tricky situation right from the get-go. The brutal ATP calendar forced him to accept that Carlos Alcaraz wasn't going to be available. Unless, of course, he wanted to see his young star completely burn out before the season even properly got going. With the tie squeezed between the Australian Open, where Alcaraz was hoping for a deeper run than just the quarterfinals, and the ATP 500 in Rotterdam, the choice was pretty much made for him. No Carlitos, no problem. At least, that's how it turned out. Despite missing their golden boy, Spain obliterated their way through the tie, leaving no room for drama. Pedro Martínez and Jaume Munar put the finishing touch with a decisive doubles victory, wrapping things up in style. A flawless 3-0 shutout, with only a minor hiccup. Martín Landaluce lost the last match against Remy Bartola, but by then, the job was already done. And the best part? No one even remembered Alcaraz was missing. Not on the court, not in the press conferences, not even in casual conversations. Pedro Martínez couldn't hide his excitement. Honestly, at the start of the week, I don't think any of us expected this tie to be over by Sunday's doubles match. So yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled with how it went. Winning all 3 matches is something really special. We avoided any unnecessary stress, and we handled it brilliantly. Today's doubles match was great, and most importantly, it sealed Spain's victory, he said, practically glowing with satisfaction. Jaume Munar also shared his thoughts, making it clear just how much this moment meant to the team. This is huge, both for the squad as a whole and for me personally. I've been through a lot in my career with guys like Roberto Carvalho's, but especially with Pedro. We've been playing together since we were kids. We went through the Junior Davis Cup, the U16 tournaments, then the U18 events, and somehow, we're still here, grinding on the pro circuit. We've even shared experiences at Grand Slams and the Olympics. It's insane to think that we've come full circle like this. Meanwhile, Ferrer, not one for getting ahead of himself, refused to even entertain thoughts about the next round in September. When asked whether Alcaraz would be available then, his response was crystal clear: "No idea, man. We literally just finished this round, and I just want to enjoy this moment. We'll figure things out when September rolls around." What really has the Spanish captain grinning from ear to ear isn't just the win itself, but the chemistry within his squad. One thing I've learned from my years in tennis is that if you want to win the Davis Cup, or at least be in the mix for it, you don't just need great players. You need a damn good atmosphere in the locker room. When the team clicks, everything else falls into place. And that's exactly what we've got here. With their first challenge out of the way, Spain has sent a clear message. They're in this to win it, with or without Alcaraz. Whether the young star rejoins them for the later rounds is still up in the air, but for now, Ferrer and his squad have more than proven they can handle business just fine. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Here at Tennis Extra, we bring you the most in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and top-tier coverage of everything happening in the tennis world. Join our community and experience every thrilling moment of the sport with us. We're constantly working to keep you updated with high-quality content on players, tournaments, strategies, and all the latest tennis drama. Stay tuned, because this season is just getting started.